showing fully.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
I'm
only
just going
showing
to.
at the top, so I'm not sure if
Yeah.
it was a yeah.
Yeah. I'm just going to. I'm just going to amend the slides. Just give me a moment. Yeah. I'm doing it right now. So I'll just do it and show it to you again.
Heather, are you able to arrange poll on Zoom?
Sorry?
Are you able to arrange a poll through Zoom? Is there a function?
No.
Okay.
Okay, so if you all want to do a poll, it will be good that you all show a QR code on the screen so that the audience can actually scan the QR code and it will go to the poll for them to actually do it.
How about we put a link in the chat box?
Yeah, the link also works. So both, yeah, so you can do either a link on the chat box or you can do a QR code.
Yeah, I think I'll do that.
So how long will the Q&A session at the end be? I mean, how long do you guys, how much do you guys section for?
Around 30 minutes.
Hopefully we get some interesting questions.
Okay, I'm just running the screens again. Just let me know if it's okay. Is it okay now?
Yep, all good.
Okay. Now it's visible, nothing cut off, right?
Yes.
Yep, I can see the full screen.
Okay. So Weber, you have to just say we value the role than the title or position. Okay. So that's how it is. Cool. I'll just add one question and answer.
Ranjit, just do one thing. Wherever you think that I need to speak or I need to do that, just show that slide, because you will be seeing that slide, presenter view also.
Yeah, fine.
Okay.
Handle.
I think we can switch off our videos. We'll start at 4. Okay. I'll be back 2 minutes before that.
Welcome, everyone. We have 172 participants right now logged in for the Agile webinar. Hi, Vaibhav. Good to see you.
Hello, Ranjeev. Very good to see you. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. And I would take this opportunity on behalf of Vaibhav and myself to welcome all our participants this wonderful afternoon for your 1 hour webinar on Agile for Everyone. Okay, so just to introduce all of y'all to the format of how this webinar will be conducted. It's a fireside chat webinar where Vaibhav and I will be having a conversation on what is Agile for everyone. What does it mean? What are the components of when we talk of agility? What all does it mean? What is Agile? It's a buzzword. What are the opportunities that everyone has got? And I see a lot of wishes on the chat window. Thank you, everyone. Welcome. Okay, the format is this, ladies and gentlemen. I am just going to have a conversation with Weber. We're going to have a chit chat, and y'all are sitting along with us on the fireside, listening to what we're saying. And we will take about 45 minutes. And once we complete our conversation, where we will introduce all of y'all to the various nuances of what Agile is and what are the courses that one gets to attend to understand and imbibe the concepts that we'll be talking of. And after that, in the last 15 minutes, we will entertain questions. And I would request all of y'all to please ask us questions, any questions, as long as it is consistent with the scope of the webinar that we've been speaking about. We'll be more than happy to answer all your questions, ladies and gentlemen. This webinar is going to be for 60 minutes. Okay, with that, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to do a quick poll. Let me just share.
So, Ranjiv, just to add to what you have said and let our participants know, we haven't scripted this before. This is totally ad hoc. This is going to be a fun conversation between two people who are passionate about Agile, and we'll see how it goes. I mean, we might use some slides which we always have lying around because we are trainers. That's what we have lying around on our desktops. But apart from that, I think this is totally unscripted. So go ahead with your poll. I'm really excited. I'm looking forward to it, and a little bit nervous, if I must say. But go ahead.
That's okay. So I'm just sharing a small little poll link on the chat window. I guess all of y'all would have got it now. May I request all of y'all to just click on it and just answer the poll, please. This is just for us to get a sense of the awesome competencies, the professionals who have come here, just to profile each one of y'all to understand who are Agilists, non-Agilists, because everybody is welcome for this little conversation. Okay, Weber, with that, let's kickstart. We've got another 57 minutes with us. So tell me, what is that we should be talking of this afternoon for the benefit of our participants?
Absolutely. And, I think we should start with an introduction. But even before that, may I request all the participants that there is a Q&A button, over there. Please use that to put in your questions. We'll be monitoring that. Or you can also put in your questions in the chat. We will be monitoring that, and that will allow us to take your questions. Okay. And just to note, the attendees that we have now is 241.
Awesome.
And still counting as we speak. That is so awesome. Okay, so allow me to quickly introduce myself. As Ranjiv mentioned, I am Vaibhav. I am an Agile consultant working with companies to bring out the best they have to offer to the world by providing training, coaching, and mentoring services. I see my role as a change catalyst, and I believe that everyone has an immense potential within them waiting to be unleashed, waiting to be uncaged. I have a constant eyes on areas of improvement and maximizing the values offered. I have 18 years of industry experience, and I have been in the Agile space for almost 14 years now. Now, Ranjiv, I know your background is far, far, far interesting than mine. So why don't you please introduce yourself?
Okay, thank you, Vaibhav. Okay, I am Ranjiv. I'm actually Colonel Ranjiv Babu. I'm ex-Indian Army. Having served in the Indian Army for 25 years, I was a combat helicopter pilot. I've got about 3,000 hours of flying with me. I've also commanded a special forces unit. So why I'm saying this is because I have had a fair share of, and the privilege and honor of working with some amazing teams at the tactical, operational, and strategic level. And if you're wondering what's an army guy teaching Agile, it's because I was also in the Faculty of Behavioral Science. I used to teach organizational behavior in the College of Defense Management for 6 years. And thereafter hung my uniform and then founded my own company called Leadership Tribe. So we are a bunch of guys who are heavily influenced by Agile. And we are these days trainers and consultants in agility, business agility, and imbibing the Agile mindset in individuals and organizations. So that's what I do. And since it's a natural passion for me to teach, to share my views and my experiences, that's how I have become an authorized instructor with IC Agile and with NTUC. So that's about me, Vaibhav. Okay.
Thank you. So for the benefit of participants, ex-army attack helicopter pilot, the guy you see in movies killing bad guys, you're seeing one of him right now. Okay. So Ranjiv, just to get things started, I'd like to hear your view. What do you think is Agile?
Okay. So Vaibhav, actually, when we talk of agile, agile comes from the word agility. That is means to be quick, to be adaptable, to be flexible, right?
Mhm.
But when you talk of agile as a noun, that is agile as a framework or as a methodology or a mindset, we need to understand that industry and companies these days are moving towards agile. And this comes from the Agile Manifesto, which was created in the year 2001, when software industries were trying to find a footing as to how do they develop as a business or an enterprise. Okay, because till then software was always a part of a support system of a greater organization. But when they saw that, yes, this is an industry by itself, they created what we call today is the Agile Manifesto. So I'll not go too much into that, Weber, but we need to understand, and let me share my screen, okay, just to give you all an understanding of what Agile is. This is a slide. I don't want to make it too complicated, okay, but let me just walk you through this, Weber, is that Agile is basically a mindset. Now,
Mhm.
how is it a mindset? It's because we believe in 4 values and 12 principles.
Mhm.
Now, I'll not go too much into the values and principles. It's there clearly defined in the Agile Manifesto, but it gives us some kind of a pathway. You know, it's like changing your behavior. I need to follow these 4 values and 12 principles. The
Mhm.
moment these 4 values are believed in and the 12 principles are followed, Weber, there is
Mhm.
going to be a behavioral change in an organization or in a person. We believe that if people change, organization change, and vice versa. Okay, and therefore any organization is a sum total of its individual human beings. And that is why Agile is a mindset. And through this mindset, we can then manifest ourselves in an unlimited number of practices. Now, these could be anything: Kanban, Scrum, SAFe, DSDM, Crystal. I'll not go into the practices. In the last count, Web, there were 57 of them. Okay. That's the number
Yes.
of practices which exist. So we don't focus too much on the practice. We focus on who is practicing the framework. That is important. So that is why it's value and principles.
Wow. Wow. So right off the bat, Ranjeev, you have given us so much to unpack here. And, there are a lot of gems that you have shared in this session. So let me, excuse me, in this comment of yours. So couple of things that stood out for me. When people change, organization change. I also love the distinction between agile as a noun and agility as a verb, or agile as a verb. I think you brought it out beautifully. Now, you talked about the roots of agile, which happens to be in the software world. And while I interact with people, there is a very common misconception in the minds of people, and that is, what, agile is only confined to software development. Agile works only in software development. Oh, you know what, we are manufacturing, we are finance, we are into washing clothes, we are into laundry or something of that sort. Be agile is not for us. You name it, and people say, people come up with that statement by de facto. Now, you come from a non-software background, you come from an armed forces background, an army background. Can you talk about your experience of agile in the armed forces?
Okay, yeah, Weber, it's not only, I'll not only speak from the armed forces, because armed forces inherently we are agile, okay, because nothing goes as per the plan. That's what is taught to
Yes.
us when we are training,
Yes.
right? The first thing that gets thrown out of the window when the first bullet is fired is the plan, okay? Okay, so what we say is planning is important, the plan isn't. So it is good
Yes.
to have the habit of planning, because then you're not really surprised. But also, let's be grounded with the reality is that things don't go as per plan. That's the nature of the world, Web. Okay.
Hmm.
So before I go there, I'll again just to highlight, and it's a great question you asked me. So I've just got one more thing to talk of, that this is how any army team would work. Okay, but I'm
Hmm.
trying to correlate it with even an understanding that even non-military people who would be attending this for the panelists. Okay, agile is all about, it's nothing to do with software. It's about a team working closely to collaborate, now delivering only what the world wants. So we are constantly in touch with what people want, what the world requires, and we deliver only that. Based on that, then we reflect periodically along the way. How can we get better? And based on that reflection, we are constantly improving. If you notice, this is also the heart of any tactical military team, Weber. Okay, we have to collaborate. We have to constantly deliver. Okay, we need to, after we do a mission, we do a debrief where we reflect, and then we constantly improve, always staying one step ahead of our adversary. So the military ethos is also consistent with the heart of Agile, Weber. Okay, and therefore, you see, since you asked me to speak from a military background, just to make it very easy to understand, see, any combat scenario is a VUCA world: volatile,
Yes.
uncertain, complex, and ambiguity.
Yes.
You agree with me, right?
Absolutely.
So if you notice, and this has become even more pronounced in the last year when we were hit by this pandemic. Now it's no longer, VUCA is no longer in the military world. It is being sensed, experienced, felt by all of us. And the way we look at VUCA is, Weber, is we need to bring a vision, an understanding, clarity, and agility. Okay, there is a hand being raised. Let me just check. Is there a question that is coming up?
So I think we'll stick to the questions in the chat window because otherwise I think we'll not be able to manage our time as much as we would love to talk to all the attendees here. We are overwhelmed with the love, with the support. It's 289 the last I saw it. So we won't be able to give space to everyone. Let's focus on the questions that are raised in the Q&A. And may I suggest, if it's okay with everyone, to focus on Q&As towards the end. Otherwise,
you can put in your Q&As in the Q&A window. We will address them in the end. I think that would be better.
Absolutely.
So when you talk of VUCA, I'll just go back. When you talk of volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguity, this word is actually a very military word. Okay, it's commonly used by military personnel. But then if you correlate it, it's just not a word. See, in order to operate in a VUCA world, you need to have a vision. You need to have an understanding. You need to get clarity and agility. Now see the word agility there. Okay, that's why you will find that the early proponents of Agile, Weber, you will be surprised to know, were all ex-military. Okay,
I'm
just champion. Yeah, the guy who created Scrum was a fighter pilot. Okay, so I just want to give, why I'm saying this is agility is something inherent, okay, in a VUCA world, and therefore I just want to bring out this very important aspect that all of us need to start getting used to operating in disruption. Now, this is a fact, the wave of digital disruption. Okay, just look at the way, the digital transformation has disrupted our world.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And I would like to talk about a little bit about operating in disruption.
Yes.
Okay. Just look at this, Weber. Even this webinar is because of technology.
Absolutely.
You notice that? Okay.
Yes.
2 years back, if you had asked me, hey, Weber, how about doing, hi, Ranjiv, how about doing a Zoom on Agile for everyone on Zoom? I would have thought, how do we do that? Because, as Agilists, we are always, it's more about the people, face-to-face.
Face-to-face communication. Yes.
And things have disrupted us and we have adapted ourselves. And today we are talking about Agile and agility on a technology platform. This is the future. We need to accept it. We need to embrace it.
Yes.
So Weber, at this point, I would like to ask, what are your thoughts about, working in disruptive worlds?
Right. So, I mean, you put this point, very beautifully. And again, Ranjiv, every comment of yours has got a lot of takeaways. The two takeaways that stood out for me, and I'm sure audience has much more to take away than me. One is, when the bullet is fired, the first thing that it kills is the plan. And, that's, I think, very well said. So I'm going to steal it and I'm going to use it in my classes. I'm letting you know upfront. The second thing, you talked about, where else do you see VUCA if not in army, if not on the battlefield, where nothing is constant, nothing is planned, nothing, can be predicted per se. Now, to answer your question about disruption, Ranjiv, what I feel is that we are now moving towards value-driven world, value-driven discipline. Okay, and that's what I wanted to talk about. How do you handle this disruption? If you look at this, if you just study the industries, the companies, the organizations that have managed to disrupt, is because they have been able to offer value in those segments, in those industries where people have thought, oh, this is how this is going to remain forever. Okay. We talk about Uber, for example. I can just to give you an example. We thought that, hey, taxi services are going to suck. Okay, they're just going to stay the way they are. We have to wait for long hours, where we have to go with our luggage onto the street. We have to stand there. We have to wait for them. We have to constantly, wave our hand, hoping some good soul, to stop. And if it doesn't stop, we used to convince ourselves, hey, there might be a genuine reason. Let me just wait. That was a very good exercise in enforcing positive attitude in yourself. Now, why did Uber caught on? Because they disrupted something. They gave us something which is offering us value. We value our time. They saved us our time. We value our convenience. They gave us that. We value, if I can say so, our respect. Hey, what? I don't want to be standing with my luggage on the street and, waving a taxi, and at the time being scared. Hey, is something happened to me, especially if it is, at the dead of the night. So today it's all about value driven. Another example that I give, that I talk about it, and I want to share it with you. I say, we talk about difference between outcome and outputs. Okay, and we'll talk about this later on, once we go much more deep into Agile. But just to touch base a little here, just to whet the appetite of the audience. Today, it's not only just an output driven world, it's an outcome oriented world. That's basically what these Agile practices, the Scrum, the Kanban, the SAFe talk about. That, hey, how are you going to deliver value? What outcomes are you bringing? And just to conclude my comment, many times when we go to companies or when organizations call us for transformation, they want to know what value will this transformation bring. They don't want to know what value you're bringing. They says, okay, we don't care. What value is this transformation, this Agile transformation, going to bring? And we have to talk to them about Scrum and all that. Now, talking about Scrum, and again, I hope people are familiar, with the Scrum. It's basically a methodology that allows teams to be agile. Okay, just to put it simply. So when we talk about Scrum, one word which comes very often is Scrum Master. And there are other leaders also. Let's not pigeonhole it into Scrum Master. But if I were to say for leaders, for Scrum Masters, in your experience, which skill do you think is the most valuable?
Okay, so good. So I'll just touch upon this word called Scrum Master, because when you talk of Agile, Scrum Master is synonymous. Okay, and for some participants, this could be a new word too. See, the master. Let me first get about, since you spoke about the skills that are required. The word master, the context is not a directive or a positional master like we see in a school or, in the olden days, the master of the house. That's not the context. The master is more of, the Shifu master of the Kung Fu Panda series,
Yes.
The Yoda master, the guy
Yes.
who knows everything and is there to serve, but he will not tell you. Okay. He wants you to do things. He wants you to fail. He wants you to sweat. He wants you to bleed. Only then you learn. That's the master. I see, that is the Scrum Master. So the most important skill of a Scrum Master is the ability to be interested in people and not interesting, Vaibhav. Okay. It's not how much I know, oh, these are the certificates I've got. This is what I've done for X number of years. That's not what you're supposed to be. People, how will it matter to me what you are? What I want from you is, what can you do for me? Okay, so as a Scrum Master, the master is, how do I serve you, Vaibhav? How do I make you better? How do I make you discover your blind spots, which you even not aware of?
Yes.
Okay, because my experience, my training, my skills enable me to see the blind spots that exist in you and your teams.
Yes.
So how do I enable you without confronting you, without making you feel uncomfortable? Okay, how do I ensure that, you discover these areas, these new areas, so that, you know, the proverbial, the cliched word of unlocking potential. Okay. Actually, the word unlocking potential is nothing but discovering your blind spots, what people don't know, what you don't know.
Yes.
But others can see. Others can see your blind spot. So if I can now coin a word around what I'm trying to tell you, Vaibhav, is facilitation and coaching. These are actually the Scrum Master is the facilitator of an Agile team. You know?
Okay. I would. This is excellent that you're talking about. Just for the benefit of our audience, may I request you to just separate these two out? Okay, let's talk first about facilitation, and then we'll talk about agile coaching, because I really don't want the audience to get confused between the two. They are two very distinct things, two very helpful things, and I want them to take the full advantage. I'm sorry to interrupt, but please
That's okay.
Go ahead. Just a small request.
So
Thank you.
So let me just get to what facilitation is, Vaibhav. Okay. Let me see. Have I got a slide for that? Let me just try and pull out one slide just to bring in this very important aspect. Okay. But before I go there, Vaibhav, let me just also tell you something very important. Okay. And that is the shift in business from task focused way of doing things to people focused, because this is what facilitation is all about. Okay. Now look at the pivot on which can you see my screen, Vaibhav?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
So if you see, the pivot on which this balance takes place is relationships. So facilitation, Vaibhav, is nothing but it's just like a tool in your already existing leadership toolbox. You can be a leader. We are all leaders. We are all managers in some way. But when you learn facilitation, it's a skill. It's like having a new tool now in your toolbox, where you're focusing on the relationships, the interactions between people. Okay. And therefore, you're more empathetic, compassionate, collaborative, pro-social, putting people's interests first, and using the human capital to drive your enterprise and business. That is what facilitation is all about, Vaibhav, in an agile context. And therefore, if you see, okay, these are the top 20 agile brands as of today. Vaibhav, you'll realize that one thing is common to all of them. Okay. And that is human-centric leading.
Yes.
Okay. So the focus, the shift in business, in the landscape of the way we go about enterprise and business, is we are moving away from task-driven, purely result-oriented outcomes, like what you mentioned, to human-centric. How are people feeling? Do they feel engaged? These are what we need to see. Okay. And therefore, you know, I'll come to this a little later. Facilitation is all about facilitating a team to unleash their potential. Those are some skills that you need to have. It's a mindset and a skill. Okay. And that's what facilitation is all about. So facilitation is not a position, Vaibhav. It is a role. Okay. Okay. So you need to understand, you can be anyone. You can be Kumbaya, anyone. Okay. It doesn't matter. But what matters is the role that you play. Am I fulfilling the role as a facilitator? When Vaibhav and Mr. X are talking, can I facilitate in such a way that Vaibhav also feels enabled, Mr. X also feels enabled? Because when both feel enabled, Vaibhav, it comes to what you just mentioned. There is value. Okay?
Yes.
So the facilitator is always focusing on value, not the people, not the task. Okay. Are you delivering value consistently?
Yes.
Okay. So
yes.
that is what is most important, Vaibhav. Yeah.
Correct.
So that's what facilitation is. So
awesome.
I'll just take 10 seconds, Vaibhav, just to share this very important slides. Agile facilitation and coaching enables team members to free themselves from fixed beliefs and traditional way of thinking, because this is so important, Vaibhav, these days. Okay. Yep. It is a skill that enables self-growth and promotes business value, focusing on human centricity in the enterprise. So people say, I've heard people say, is it soft skills? Is it something to do with communication? I say soft skills, communication are a subset of it.
Yes.
Okay. What people don't get, it's a mindset.
Yes.
Okay. And that is the new age skill of a leader or a manager, Vaibhav.
Yes. Yes. Okay, thank you, so much for those insights. So before I come back to facilitation, I've got one question, and I want to take it right now. And that's, is Scrum a subset of Agile? And there was someone in the chat who said that, hey, what, we are googling Scrum right now. So friends, couple of things here. Number one, out here we are not talking about the Agile methodologies. The key takeaway from this webinar is that not to make you proficient in Agile methodologies. Both Ranjiv and me take 2 hours to cover that in our courses, and you also have dedicated 2-day training to talk about Scrum alone. So that's going to be a huge task, and we have to request for many webinars to cover that. But what is Scrum? So please understand, Scrum is sort of a process. I'm using the term process very loosely here. Sort of a process that allows you to be agile. Just to give you an example, just to give you an analogy. So let's say, you have children at your house. You want to give them instructions. Hey, you know what? Cleanliness is next to godliness. Please keep your home clean. Please keep your surroundings clean. Now, that's generic, that's being clean. What you do is you tell them specific practices. Hey, you know what? Keep your toys at the proper place once you're done playing with them. Keep your uniform at the proper place once you're back from school. Keep your shoes at proper place once you are back from playing. Keep your sports equipment at proper place once you are back. Wash your hands. Take bath regularly. So when you put this set of practices, this is basically what a process or a methodology is. And one such process, one such methodology in the context of Agile is Scrum. Okay. So just to give context.
And just to add, Vaibhav, it's interesting to note that Scrum existed 14 years before Agile was created, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And Agile is actually a collection of the best practices, because Agile is a mindset. So
yes.
Scrum, in its inherent form, enables a team to follow the Agile values and practices. So it becomes easy, like what Vaibhav you're saying. See, I have values and principles. What do I do with the values and principles? Okay,
Absolutely.
I have values, I have principles. Now I have to put them into practice.
Yes.
So the practice is Scrum. Okay?
Yes.
And it's a marriage of two beautiful ideologies, okay,
Absolutely.
into what we call, that's what is called as being Agile and doing Agile.
Yes. And that's a very interesting discussion to have.
Yeah.
But I want to circle back to facilitation. So Colonel, you mentioned a very good example, and that set a bell in me, and I want to share it with you, and I want to thank you for sharing it with me, and I want to share it for the benefit of audience. You talked about the movie Kung Fu Panda. You talked about Shifu, and what that reminds me is the way Shifu was struggling earlier to teach Kung Fu Panda. He was applying his standard practices, his standard equipment, his standard teaching tools, teaching aids, and the Kung Fu Panda didn't get it. Now, when the Shifu's master told him that, hey, you know what? You need to, I mean, of course, it was not an Agile class. Otherwise, he would have said, hey, you need to think about facilitation. You need to think about your target student. And that's when he used food to teach Kung Fu to the panda. And I believe that's an excellent example to understand what facilitation is.
If you see, sorry to interrupt you, Vaibhav.
No, not at all.
Any martial arts, they don't teach you martial arts for the first 6 months. Okay. They make you do all sorts of odd jobs, because what they're developing is the mindset. Are you okay? Are you now ready for the practice? So what the master is doing, that's why it's a master. What the master is doing is watching this person, okay, understanding this person, and then giving them the practice after 6 months, because then they're ready. That's what they say. Now you're ready. Okay.
Right.
Similarly, facilitation is similar, Vaibhav. It's a most challenging aspect skills, but the most fulfilling once you get it.
Yes. Okay, so before coming back to coaching, I have one question, and I want to take that thing up because we're talking about Agile and Scrum. So the question is, between Agile and Scrum, which one I should take up and get certified? Now, there is no definite path to this. There is no definite answer to this. A lot depends on your context. So let's say you are not in a software world, or you're not in a leadership position right now. Okay. What I'll recommend is start with Agile Fundamentals, IC Agile Fundamentals course. Then look up for facilitation. And once, if you like what you're hearing, go for Agile coaching and Scrum certification at that stage. So it's fundamentals, facilitation, coaching, and then Scrum. If I can put that.
Yeah.
In
So
context.
basically, Web of Scrum is more the process side. Okay. And IC Agile courses are more towards the human centric side.
Yes.
Because both are important.
Yes.
Both are important.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. Thank you so much, Colonel, for those insights. What I would like to talk about, let's say, since we're talking about career path, and our audience have steered the conversation in this, and as I said before, this is totally unscripted. I'm just speaking what I'm gaining from you here. I'm reflecting on what you have shared with me and trying to dig deeper into that. And it's a learning for me. I'm enjoying myself, and I hope so are the attendees. But let's say someone who has done facilitation, he understands the importance of facilitation. He is practicing it. He is getting good at it. Okay. What will the next step that you will recommend to such a person for his or her growth?
Okay, good. So Vaibhav, you are leading me to the next stage of an Agile practitioner, which is very important. And that is, say, I'll give you an example. You are facilitating, but you can only facilitate people who are, understanding the job role, who are in sync with the team, who know what is to be done. But what happens when you have dysfunctional behaviors, or when people just don't know what to do because of sheer inexperience, or the future is so volatile that they just don't know what to do? They're stuck. Okay. So, and that happens, right? Everything is, you don't work in a zone of clarity ever. So that is when Vaibhav, we're, Agile teams also have the skills of coaching. Now, what is coaching all about? Coaching is very simple. It is not, the way we think of coaching. Coaching is not tuitions.
Yes.
It's not tutoring.
Yes.
Coaching basically is enhancing yourself in three primary skill levels. That is your ability to ask a powerful question. Yes. Now, what's a powerful question? Your ability to make another person think.
Yes.
Think in such a way that they're able to generate powerful insights.
Yes.
The second, once you're able to ask a powerful question, it comes from your ability to actively listen. Now, what does active listening mean? So when you are a coach, you learn not to hear, not to listen, but to actively listen. What does that mean? Yes. That is, I'm not only listening to the words you're saying, Vaibhav, but also the emotion and the feelings behind what you're saying. That's so important, right? Because when we are interacting in relationships at work, we are not dealing with machines. We are dealing with humans. Okay. And therefore, when you talk about humans, what you need to understand is that humans are emotional beings. So you need to listen actively to the emotion behind what they're saying. And the third aspect, Vaibhav, is observation. Are you able to observe? Because 93% of what is communicated is non-verbal, Vaibhav. You're supposed to pick up that. And your ability to transmit that same non-verbal cues to the other person so that they get comfortable. So this is, in essence, when you have an agile coach is a step ahead of a facilitator. He uses facilitation skills. He or she uses facilitation skills, but at the same time is able to actively listen, ask powerful questions, and observe. Why? So that unlocked potential gets, that locked potential gets unlocked. It gets unleashed. Because one very important aspect, Vaibhav, when you want someone to, someone has a problem, instead of giving them the answer, it is much better to get them to find the solution or the answer themselves. Because when a person discovers the answers themselves, they own it. And when you own it, you are accountable for it. And this is one of the major deviations people do, as they think in good, in good spirits, let me give the answer. The moment you give the answer, that other person doesn't own the answer. It's a second-hand, opinion. So there's no accountability there.
Absolutely. That's wonderfully said. And I just want to add on to it with your permission, Ranjeev. we think that when we are giving advice, we are doing other person a favor. We are kind of like helping that person's out. And believe me, our heart is at the right place. We are doing it with the best of intentions. Okay. But just look at it from the other person's perspective. How do you feel when someone tells you as advice something that you already know?
Yeah.
Okay. And the other day I was having a conversation with my friend, and he said, why do children hate their parents so much? Why do children hate their teachers so much? I said, I think one simple, there could be multiple reasons, but one simple reason could be because parents, teachers keep on telling children to study hard, to work hard, to get good grades, something that they already know. You're giving advice which they already know. What are you going to do after that? You're going to hate the other person, obviously.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
the other thing that I want to bring in over here is which you touched upon briefly. I just want to expand on it. Many times people are confused that, hey, you know what? I am not into an agile role. My job title doesn't has agile in it. My company is not implementing agile. Should I be going for agile facilitation? Should I be going for agile coaching? And I just want to stress over here for the benefit of our participants that, ladies and gentlemen, the word agile over here, as Ranjiv has been saying since the beginning, talks about mindset. What mindset you bring to your job, what mindset you bring to your profession is totally under your control. No appointment letter in the world can control that, can determine that. So it's up to you. Do you want to bring the traditional, outdated, industrial age mindset, or do you want to bring the modern, current, agile mindset? I think the answer is very obvious. We want to bring in the agile mindset, and it's not something that, it's just a click of a button that, okay, I'm going to be agile from tonight, and from tomorrow onwards I'm going to be agile. No, it's a long journey. It's a constant journey. At times we compare it to spiritualism, we compare it to discovering ourselves, we compare it to knowing our purpose. You're constantly evolving, thinking, getting better at it. So the point is, do not let the word agile stop you, prevent you from exploring the immense power these two disciplines, facilitation and then coaching, has. I have seen companies employing agile coaches in totally non-software world. In fact, you have shown this slide. I'll let you cover this. And before that, I just want to answer a couple of questions, which is the related topic, and then I'll talk about the transformation story which I'm doing with my current organization. And I believe you also have a much better, interesting story to share. So we'll share that for the benefit of audience. But so one question is it possible to provide websites or resources on those agile fundamentals, coaching, etc.? Please. There is no one single site. It's something like, can I provide you a site which can make you the best chef, the best cook in the world? No, cooking is a vast discipline. You can't contain it in one website. So I'm afraid that's not possible. But yeah, if you Google facilitation, if you Google fundamentals, if you Google coaching, you will get many results. And the reason IC Agile came up with these courses is because this is a never ending field. So where do you start? Where do you get some level of competence per se? So the another question is, how do you introduce the concept of agile into companies? Now, let's pause for a moment. Introducing agile should never be your goal. And that's, I've seen mistake many new practitioners make.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what, we want to be agile. Oh, you know what, we want to implement Scrum. Oh, you know what, we want to implement the practices. And there are certain extreme cases I've also seen who go on to literally extremes that, hey, you know what, why is your daily status meeting going beyond 15 minutes? Why is it taking 16 minutes to finish, where Scrum guide says it should be within 15 minutes? Okay, now, due respect to those zealots, they're trying to do their best, but with age comes wisdom. And the wisdom here is, your goal should always be, what is the business outcome I'm trying to achieve? What is the outcome I'm trying to achieve here, and then think about how Agile will help me get those outcomes. That's how you should, approach this. And I think this, I just got a cue. This will be covered in what Ranjiv was just flashing on the screen before. So while we will talk about Ranjiv, what he wanted to cover in that slide, and then we'll come back to our transformation story. So go right ahead, please.
Absolutely. I just want to also add that, yes, NTUC does offer Agile workshops. We'll be talking about it subsequently. Okay, but let's. Why I showed that, Weber, was because you were touching on something very important. Okay, and I just want to, when you were talking about the traditional way, there's nothing wrong in the traditional way of doing things, but then you notice that it's only one man driving everything, and it's always a pull. You're pulling. It's when you pull something, you get strained, you get tired. But Agile teams, what we look at is being self-organized. It's more, it's in the traditional teams, it's more of a push, and in Agile, it is more of a pull. You're pulling work. Everyone wants to pull work. Hey, give me a little bit of it, okay? Yes. And one person amongst them, please understand, the facilitator or the coach or the product owner in an Agile team is embedded inside the team itself. So these are roles. They are not positions or titles. That is what makes Agile teams self-organized and self-managed. You can make them independently, more flexible, so that they can think, they can do new stuff, they can reflect, they can improve. So this is something that very important, Weber, what you had mentioned, and that's why I wanted to show this, because when you talk of facilitation, what changes the facilitation skills in Agile is we are servant leaders. And servant leader, again, is a topic by itself, Weber, okay? And therefore, if you notice, Weber, this is where I want you to just talk about a transformation story and also touch upon the various roles that I just want to bring out. So the various roles in an Agile team are product owners, the Scrum team, or the Scrum Master, okay? But then they also work within a given environment in an ecosystem where you have the business owners and the stakeholders, your clients, your markets. So, Weber, if you could just give us, your own transformation story where the value of the role more than the title or position came in, and how you were able to implement this. I would love to hear that. Go on.
Yes, absolutely. So the current, surprise, the current transformation that I'm involved in is not into a software world, it's into a consumer goods company. So this industry, this company is manufacturing beverages, manufacturing potato chips, manufacturing chocolates, candies, milk powder, and all those sort of stuff. They're not creating any software product. And why these guys invited us to do the transformation? Because they said, hey, you know what, our innovation has come to a standstill. We are not innovating anymore. We are working, or we are sitting on the laurels of the products that were introduced 5 years ago. Now, believe me, these guys have a very strong R&D. They know what they are doing. Yet they were not getting the outcomes that they wanted to achieve, they wanted to get. And when we talked about Agile, the very first thing that we had to do, what's shown on your screen is that, hey, you know what? Now it's not your manager who is empowered. You all are empowered. You all are free to make decisions. You all are free to voice your opinion. Your opinion matters. And the thing that we spoke with when we're doing this transformation, the workshops that we had for the senior people, we said, ladies and gentlemen, you might not realize it, but you are dependent on your subordinates for the success. However you want to define success, that's up to you. But you are dependent on your subordinates for the success. And if you're just going to expect them to work as you're telling them, your innovation will not happen. You have to, what you talked about, asking powerful questions. And that's what we taught them for, full 1-2 hours, just this topic of powerful questions. And we talked about, hey, you know what? You need to learn to ask questions. And believe me, initially it was a struggle, but once they started to get the hang of it, now the feedback that we are getting from the senior management, from the executive is, hey, you know what have you guys done? Now there are so many ideas and we are spoiled for it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right. That's basically what is the power of Agile. Did we follow Scrum? Oh, yes, we did. Did we follow Kanban? Yes, for factories platform, we did. But was Scrum, Kanban the successful factors, the factors causing success?
No.
Could be, maybe. Okay. Yeah. I could have followed anything else and still got close to what we got now. It's just that Scrum and Kanban gave us a ready-made structure to present. But what really helped was what you talked about, you know, having ownership. Yeah. Realizing that, hey, you know what's in it for me? Why are we here? What's our purpose? And how can we be agile? Please go ahead.
Yeah,
sir.
and it all comes down, Web, to value, right?
Yes.
You know, we don't encourage any conversation, any topic, if it does not support value. You know, so even if I'm talking to Vaibhav right now, I'll tap on his shoulders and we may ask, what is the value of what we are doing? And you need to define the value also. And that's so being agile, actually. Vaibhav, what you're saying is, see, it's not about just doing Scrum or Kanban if you're not able to generate the value that your business is looking into. Because let's be honest. Okay, for any business, any enterprise to survive, to exist, the oxygen is revenue. You know, you can't run a business on love and fresh air. While love and fresh air is important, looking after people is important, but those people should also go ahead and do something that delivers value so that that value gets converted into the dollar value. So it's a fine balance where you need to focus on facilitation and coaching with an aim to deliver business value. So that's what we train. Actually, that's the mindset that needs to be inculcated in a manager or in a leader. How do you engage a person to make them feel psychologically safe, not to establish a great relationship, but also for that person to go out there and deliver value? You know.
Cool. So I think you mentioned a very important term, and I have a very long question, from an anonymous attendee, and the gist of his question is, isn't agile, dehumanizing people? It's just technology and nothing else. So, I mean, I respect your opinion, sir, ma'am. However, I have a very different opinion. I'll just answer it in 2 points. Number one is, anything can be used for both positive and negative thing. It depends on how you use the tool. I'll give you 2 very quick examples. You have a knife in the kitchen. It can be used to cut vegetables, to create some really tasty food, which will satiate the appetite of many humans. It can also be used for harmful purposes. All right. One of my mentor told me, this was when I was young, naive, and stupid. I'm still some stupid right now, but that's
you're getting there. You're getting there.
So this I told him, you know what, I don't want to earn money. Why? Because money makes you bad. Money makes you greedy. Money makes you disrespect people and all that. And this mentor of mine put it very beautifully, which I'm carrying till today, and that is, Vaibhav, money doesn't make you bad. Money just amplifies what's there in you. If you are a caring, loving, compassionate person, you will use your money for charity, for helping others. If you are a mean and a greedy person, you will use money to get more money to harm more people. Just to conclude this comment, Agile actually values humans. You talked beautifully about psychological safety. Psychological safety is a huge topic. We can't cover it here.
It's a subject by itself. Yeah.
It's a subject by itself. We touch about it in Agile coaching and things like that. But just one simple question, if you want to know how psychologically safe your team is, and by the way, psychological safety is precursor to performance. If you want your teams to perform, they need to have psychological safety. Now, does your team have psychological safety or not? I'll give you one very simple test, one very simple tip to find it out. just go and talk to your team members and tell them you are their supervisor, you are their managers, you have more power over them. If I can use use the term in a literal sense, just go and talk to them and ask them a simple question. If I was doing something wrong, will you let me know? Will you stop me from doing it? If they answer yes, you have got psychological safety in your team and you are on to great results. If they don't answer or they're hesitant in their answers, believe me, you have work to do. And that is something which is beautifully covered by,
Agile. In fact, this is what we focus more in our facilitation and coaching classes, that, how do you understand and how do you create psychological safety? You cannot be a facilitator, you cannot be an effective coach if you do not establish psychological safety first. It's as simple as that.
Yes. Okay. So,
so Vaibhav, we have 9 minutes left. So I just want to make out a very important point, right?
So,
product ownership and marketing. I want you to just amplify that. And for you, you don't know it, but I've got 2 slides for you. Okay.
Okay.
I just did it while you were talking. Okay. Yeah. So you can just, orient, because there are some of us who are more interested in knowing what is product ownership, what is marketing. So is it okay if I just share the slide? It'll help you. Okay?
Yes, please.
Okay. This is a surprise, Vaibhav.
Just when I didn't feel to be more nervous, you're making me more nervous.
No, don't worry. Just to help you out. Okay. This is just to tell you the various the courses that we give in facilitation and coaching. And this is business agility. And based on that, go ahead, Vaibhav. I've got this and I've got this, so you can answer both of them.
Perfect.
I'll give you 3 minutes, Vaibhav, if that's okay, because we need to take some questions too.
Of course. Awesome. So, see, couple of things here. So if you can just go back, one slide to business agility. Now, Colonel, in the original slide, you showed, the companies that are really successful. Can you just loop back to that, real quick? Yeah, not this one. This guy. Thank you. If you look at these companies, you talk about Apple, YouTube, Google, Microsoft. Okay, if I can take Google as an example, what is the reason behind their success? Between these companies, I think they have, if I'm not mistaken, maybe 70% of the world's total market share, total. Whatever you spend, people are spending on, let's say people all over the world are spending $1 billion. They control maybe 75 million of that. I might be off by a million or here, but a majority. What is common among these companies, these organizations? It can't be the space they are in. Wikipedia is in a totally different space than Google. Apple is in totally different space than YouTube. IKEA is in totally different space than Apple, so on and so forth. One thing which is really common among these is something known as business agility. Now, what is business agility? And we can segue to a business agility slide. What is business agility? Please understand, a chain is as strong as its weakest link. Now, when you're looking at an organization, you're not just looking at the IT department. You're not just looking at the software department. When you go to an organization, you're dealing with the organization as a whole. One very interesting example that comes to my mind is, you remember the fiasco we had with Samsung Note 7, the phone with burning batteries. It was a brand disaster. It was a marketing disaster. It was a maintenance nightmare.
Absolutely.
Now, when you're going and buying the Samsung phone, we think that, oh, we're just buying a phone. No, you are actually interacting with the entire organization end to end. And if one of the department, one of the component of that organization goofs up, you have something known as Samsung Note 7. That's an awesome example. Yeah. And that is why business agility is so important. What is business agility in very simple terms? It is being agile across your organization, be it your HR, be it your sales, be it your marketing, be it your operations, be it your pre-sales, be it your support, be it your admin. And the companies that you have shown in your slide have mastered it or they are going there.
Yeah, they've all
Okay.
transformed to Agile. Yeah, quite
Yes.
successful.
Now we talk about Agile marketing. I mean, I can talk about all these, but we focus on Agile marketing because I'm mindful of time. Now, when you talk about Agile marketing, people think, oh, I'm a leader. Why should I be focused on marketing? Again, please understand this is a value-driven world. Okay. Today, companies have started employing people who have not even finished college graduation, do not have any degree or something, right? They're open to do this. There are a lot of organizations which hire from boot camps, which hire just based on their selection process. As long as you are an adult, you have a valid birth certificate, you have crossed that legal age, they will hire you. Now, how will you convince the hiring manager that, hey, you know what, I am the right guy, I'm the right girl? You have to market yourself. And that is basically where Agile marketing comes into picture. Now we are living in a very, very interesting times. Why? Today, if you look at what are the marketing channels, earlier, you put it beautifully on the slide. Earlier, what marketing used to look like? We used to have a 6 months time frame. We used to revise our plans after every 6 months, 2 times per year. We used to have rigid fixed executives, rigid fixed execution. So let's say, let's go back 15 years back. If you have to market something, what options you have? You either have a television, you either have radio, you either have print, you have newspapers, magazines. That's it. Today, what options you have? You can go to YouTube, you can go to Twitter, you can go to Facebook, you can go to Google AdWords. And what is the beauty of this? What is the power of this? Ranjiv, these are the same tools that are accessible to any chief marketing officer of a company, and same tools are available to you. So the playing field has leveled up.
Yeah. It's an
if you have $1 billion in your bank and you have got just, let's say, $100, Twitter doesn't care. Twitter cares on content.
I guess the biggest departure, Vaibhav, is you don't have those experts in marketing anymore. Even a guy with a laptop with basic software can generate and dish out fresh content on behalf of the marketing team.
Yes, I know one person who was running a marketing newsletter. Okay, he was talking about growth hacking and how to acquire customers and all that in various strategies, search engines, AdWords, blah blah blah, so on and so forth. He was running this newsletter for, I don't know, maybe 1.5 years. He got to a membership level of, few thousands.
Yeah.
And today, based on that, he has been picked up as the chief marketing officer of an organization, a real job.
Yeah. Something very interesting, Vaibhav, I just want to share with you. Today it's not about marketing, is all about influencing. It's not about selling anymore.
Yes.
If you notice Elon Musk, Tesla, you will not find him marketing on TV or on print his car.
Not at all.
There's no advertisement. Okay.
Yes.
It's all influencing through social media. That's Agile marketing. That's how he's a classic example. The Tesla car is a classic example of how he's able to use Agile mindset in marketing.
Absolutely.
Vaibhav, I'll just take a hard stop here if you don't mind, because I'm just mindful of time. I just want to give the typical learning journey roadmap, which are courses offered by NTUC, because I see a few questions coming up on the chat window and someone private messaging me. So the baseline is your IC Agile practitioners course, which tells you the fundamentals. Then you can do the team facilitation, the coaching. Then you can, once you have got those skills, you can, what Vaibhav has just said about product ownership, that is how do you understand the value of the product, not just creating a product, but the value of the product or service that you are engaged in. And then how do you understand the nuances of marketing using the Agile mindset? So that's what we have. Vaibhav, I'm so sorry to cut you off because I just saw that we need to also look into the question and answers, right?
Sure.
So this is the time when we have just got 2 minutes. So this is the time when we'll just go into the questions. So shall we just follow the questions?
Yes, I just want to pick one and then, I'll hand over the next one to you. So, there are a couple of questions with regard to who is the manager in the, in the Agile. So again, we are thinking from the traditional perspective. What is a manager supposed to know? Manager is supposed to have all the answers. Manager is supposed to know all the things. So anything happens, manager is the authority figure. Go at him and he will tell you what to do. Now, dear friends, please realize, please understand, times have changed. We are not living in an industrial age anymore. If you look at the team that I'm dealing with today, we have someone who is an R&D specialist. He can research and come up with formulations of those products that you see on your shelves, like vitamin C, some juices, mineral water, lime water, you name it, and things like that. Then there is another person who is a packaging expert. Then we have someone who is a marketing expert. He has got tons of knowledge in marketing. We have a sales expert. We have a UI UX personnel. We have a systems personnel. Now I'm just talking about these 6 people. Now imagine being a manager of all those. Will I be able to answer their technical questions? The answer is no. That's very, very industrial age phenomena. Just to conclude this, when WhatsApp was acquired by Facebook for, I don't know, maybe 30 billions or something of that sort, around that figure, who was the manager of WhatsApp? Who was leading WhatsApp? And you know what? WhatsApp was just an 18-member team when they were acquired for billions by Facebook. Friends, please understand, what Ranjiv mentioned right at the very beginning. We are living in a VUCA world where we can't predict. Nobody has all the answers. We are discovering it together. So to answer this question, the management responsibilities get distributed among the teams. And we talk about this in detail in our courses as to how this works. That's the transition. That's what Agile journey, Agile transformation is all about.
Okay. So, Vaibhav, I've answered certain questions. Zailani Arsal, you had asked me about how should industry veteran who manage a team working in a non-Agile environment transition to Agile mindset methodology. It's exactly what we are saying. These are the courses. Get in touch with your NTUC course coordinator and let us know. We'll surely be able to help you, because these courses are meant for people like you who want to implement, who want to make a difference to the company. Okay. If I understand right, according to PMI, all projects should have PM to manage all kinds of projects.
Answered that.
Okay, you answered that.
Yep.
Do we need divergent and convergent thinking mindset to practice Agile team? This is one of the sessions in the Agile team facilitation course.
Yes.
Okay, we talk
Yes.
about it in detail.
Yes.
Is there agility in
I
finance?
was just about to say this is basically what facilitation is all about.
All about, yeah.
Yeah.
And we teach also how do you
Yes.
go about that, the format. Okay. Is there agility in finance course by NTUC? Not yet, not right now, but IC Agile does offer it. Do you have a course to train people to be Agile trainers? Not to be trainers, but we don't have trained a trainer, but yeah, to be practitioners. Yes. Okay. We will share the slides. Okay. Is there any other question? Okay. There were some questions that I've answered. Rajendra Kumar, good to know you're from the Singapore Navy. I've answered your question, sir. You can look at that little article I sent you. It'll help you. Will we be able to have a copy of this PP? Yes, you will. Will this webinar be shared? Yes. Slides. Do you need PMP certification first to get Agile certification?
I've answered all those.
Okay, awesome. I think all the questions have been answered. Okay. Is there any other question? Anything else? What is the difference between IC Agile and Scrum Alliance? There's no difference. They are just two bodies which accredit and certify people. But I'll just say IC Agile is more focused towards the human side of things, and Scrum Alliance is more focused towards Scrum. Okay? That's it. That's it.
Yes.
Okay. And please understand, Scrum is a framework. It's a way of being. It's a way of doing Agile. Okay. And IC Agile teaches you how to be Agile. I think that sounds absolutely the way it is. Okay. Okay. Any other question?
So one thing, IT and Agile is the same. No, my dear friend, it's not. Absolutely not. Short answer.
Yeah. So do attend our courses. These are the kind of questions you're asking is what is actually 1 hour is not giving justice. This was just a teaser just to get you all to understand, because agility is fast becoming a buzzword. And we felt that this is the right time to educate people, in understanding it's a new education, it's a new way of doing things. We are the ones who are riding the initial wave. And our intention was just to introduce certain key concepts and opportunities that each one of you all have in enabling yourselves as Agile practitioners.
Okay, so Ranjeev, thank you so much for your time. I think I learned a lot. I could have continued this for another 2 hours per se, but I think by that time I would have put everyone to sleep. So I'll not risk that. I think we can call it close. I will be failing in my duty if I don't thank our facilitators which are working behind the scenes to make this thing happen. Thank you so much, Sukyan and Heather, for making this happen, and all the wonderful people at NTUC for supporting us and for making this happen.
Yes.
We had a blast of a time, and I can't wait to do this another time.
Thank you for your patient 1 hour of your time invested in us. I hope the returns are equally valuable to each one of you. And please get in touch with your nearest, most accessible NTUC coordinator. They are there to help you get to answer your questions. And in case you still feel, get to us directly. We are more than welcome to clear all your doubts. So Vaibhav and my dear participants, with that, we are formally ending the session. We've taken 6 minutes more than the planned time. Okay, we are mindful of time. We are agilists at the end of the day.
And agile gods will not be happy with us for breaking the time box.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Take lots of care. Have a great
Thank you very
evening.
much. And thank you for
now.
all the comments coming in. I will not be personally able to. I see some of my students, participants thanking me. Good to see you. I can't name all of you all personally, but awesome. Nice to know you all there. Nice to meet people. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. If there are any other questions, feel free to private message or connect with us through NTUC. With this, Vaibhav, should we call it a
yes,
wrap?
Please. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So we'll just wait for everybody to move. Okay. Thank you.
Absolutely.
We'll just keep the window open for 2 minutes if anybody's got any more questions. Yeah.
Okay. So I have one question from okay,
go ahead.
Zuriani Hussein. He's still here, so I'll answer it live. How's the market demand as an agile facilitator in the corporate and social domain? So facilitation is a skill which is very much required. I haven't seen market maturing as such that we have jobs for a full-time facilitator per se, but excuse me, for today's leaders, facilitation is much sought after skill as such. So I hope that answers your question. Okay.
Okay.
What?
KY. Okay. KY is asking a question, so I'll just share this. This seems to be, you all can move out with this particular question. Just give me a moment. Okay, just a minute. This was what they wanted. I'm just sharing the screen. This is important.
Yes. What is the difference between CSM and IC Agile certification? So as Ranjeev mentioned, CSM is all about Scrum, just Scrum, and it talks about a little bit about Agile, whereas IC Agile is more on the human-centric capabilities, or the human-centric competencies. How do you deal with teams? How do you work with teams? How do you facilitate discussion? How do you resolve conflict? How do you bring out the potential in your team members is something that we talk about in IC Agile courses, and it's focused on people, it's focused on humans. So I hope that answers your question. I think Ranjeev, we have to put a hard stop. I still see 100 people hanging there. Before we start receiving angry messages from their spouses, I think it's time to wrap it.
Okay, thanks. I will leave it to NTUC to host this on YouTube and take this forward.
Yes.
So with that, just want to also thank our NTUC coordinator who's been most kind. Thank you, Chu Xian. This is where we will just close the session. I will request you to, I'll forward the PPT to you, Shu Qian, on mail. You can then, share it with the entire population.
Yes, I'll be sharing it with all the attendees via email, as well as a recording of this webinar.
Yeah, it's also there. Yeah. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Right, thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.